Everything you think you know about Anubis is wrong. The jackal-headed god wasn't just some scary death deity waiting to punish souls. Picture this. You're standing in the shadows of the Great Pyramid, sand whipping around your feet. The ancient Egyptians believed that right now, at this very moment, Anubis is watching over the dead with the same care a mother watches over her sleeping child. But here's what they never taught you in history class. Anubis wasn't the grim reaper of Egyptian mythology. He was something far more complex and beautiful. If you want to discover the hidden truths about ancient Egyptian mythology that most people never learn, hit that subscribe button, because we're diving deep into mysteries that will change everything you thought you knew. Let me take you back 5,000 years. The scorching Egyptian sun beats down on endless golden dunes. In this harsh landscape, where death lurked behind every corner, the ancient Egyptians created the most sophisticated understanding of the afterlife the world has ever known. And at the center of it all stood Anubis. Most people see Anubis and immediately think death and judgment. The black jackal head, the stern posture, the association with mummies and tombs. It's easy to assume he was some kind of ancient boogeyman. But imagine being an ancient Egyptian, lying on your deathbed, family gathered around you. The last thing you see isn't fear, it's hope, because Anubis isn't coming to drag you into darkness. He's coming to guide you safely home. Here's where the story gets really interesting. Anubis didn't start as a judge. He began as a guardian, long before the famous weighing of the heart ceremony that everyone talks about. Anubis was the protector of graves. Picture the early Egyptian burial grounds, simple holes in the desert sand. Wild jackals would prowl these areas, and instead of seeing them as threats, the Egyptians saw them as guardians. They thought, if jackals are naturally drawn to protect burial sites, then their god must be watching over our dead. This is where modern understanding gets it completely wrong. We focus so much on the judgment aspect that we miss the love story, because that's what Anubis really represents. Love that extends beyond death itself. Think about the mummification process for a moment. It took 70 days. 70 days of careful, precise work to preserve a body. Every step was a prayer. Every bandage was wrapped with intention. And overseeing it all was Anubis. The priests wore masks of his likeness, becoming his hands on earth. They weren't preparing bodies for judgment. They were preparing them for reunion. But here's where things get complicated. And this is the part that creates all the confusion about whether Anubis was guardian or judge. Around the Middle Kingdom period, about 4,000 years ago, Egyptian religion evolved. Enter Osiris, the king of the underworld. Suddenly, Anubis had to share the spotlight. Imagine the meeting of the gods in the ancient Egyptian pantheon. Osiris, the powerful ruler of the dead, takes center stage. Anubis, who had been the primary death deity, now finds himself in a supporting role. But rather than being diminished, his role became more specialized and, in many ways, more important. This is when the famous weighing of the heart ceremony enters the picture. But here's what your textbooks probably got wrong. Anubis wasn't the one making the judgment. He was the one making sure the process was fair. Picture the scene. A soul stands in the hall of two truths. The air shimmers with otherworldly light. Massive scales sit in the center of the room, gleaming gold and silver. On one side, the heart of the deceased. On the other, the feather of Ma'at, representing truth and justice. Osiris sits on his throne, the ultimate judge. But who's operating the scales? Who's making sure everything is balanced correctly? Anubis. He's not the harsh judge waiting to condemn souls. He's the careful technician, the guardian of the process itself. His jackal eyes miss nothing. Every weight is measured perfectly. Every heart is handled with care. If your heart was lighter than the feather, meaning you lived a good life, Anubis would guide you to eternal paradise. If it was heavier, weighed down by wrongdoing, well, that's when Amit the Soul Eater entered the picture. But even then, Anubis wasn't the executioner. He was the witness, ensuring cosmic justice was served. But there's an even deeper layer to this story that most people never discover. Anubis had a personal connection to resurrection itself. In the myth of Osiris's death and rebirth, it was Anubis who performed the first mummification. When Set murdered Osiris and scattered his body across Egypt, it was Anubis who carefully gathered the pieces, who wrapped them with love and precision, who brought the first soul back from death. Think about what this means. Every person who died in ancient Egypt was following in Osiris's footsteps, and Anubis was there to help them complete the same journey. From death to judgment, to, hopefully, rebirth. He wasn't just a guardian or just a judge. He was a guide through the most important transition any soul could make. The ancient Egyptians understood something we've forgotten in our modern world. Death isn't an ending, it's a transformation. And transformations need guides. They need someone who knows the way, someone who's walked the path before, someone who cares about getting you safely to your destination. This is why Anubis appears in so many forms throughout Egyptian history. Sometimes he's standing guard over a tomb, eternal protector of the dead. Sometimes he's leading a soul by the hand through the underworld, gentle guide through unknown territory. Sometimes he's carefully weighing a heart, precise judge, ensuring fairness for all. He wasn't one or the other. He was all of these things because death itself requires all of these things. Protection for the vulnerable, guidance for the lost, judgment for the unjust. And through it all, love for every soul making the journey. The ancient Egyptians spent their entire lives preparing for death, not because they were morbid, but because they understood something profound. How you die matters less than who's there to help you when you do. And for them, that someone was always Anubis. So the next time you see that distinctive jackal head in a museum or a movie, remember this. You're not looking at a symbol of death and judgment. You're looking at one of humanity's earliest expressions of hope. Hope that death isn't the end. Hope that someone is watching over us. Hope that justice and love can coexist, even in the darkest moments. Anubis was never just guardian or judge. He was both, because true love requires both protection and accountability. The ancient Egyptians knew that thousands of years ago. Maybe it's time we remembered it too.